What's up, man?
So, you here for a long haul, man?
I'm here, man. I'm here for the long haul.
The whole interview?
I'm here for a long haul.
All right, man. Let's go. So, for this show, we have Mindy Wheeler. You know, she's doing her own indie project this time around called Boobs.
Boobs? I like
Yeah, I
some
thought you liked
boobs
that.
now. I like some
But
boobs.
she also has done professional work on Grimm Fairy Tales as well as Vampirella.
I don't know about, man, no vampires, man.
Yeah, I said Vampirella.
Yeah,
Bro, you
but
better not be one of them.
me and Warren, we had this whole idea of the vampires. Just know it was like the first, scene of Blade when he's in that little club thing, bro. Like,
Yo, for real, man.
I can't
you
do it,
almost
bro.
made
I
it
don't
through the
want
whole
to
thing.
you pull the images, man.
You
I don't
almost
want to see
made
no
it through the whole thing,
flashbacks
bro.
and
All
trigger
right,
that,
bro.
man. I'm good, bro.
I got it, like
hey,
always.
do your
I got
thing,
it.
Shout out to Mindy Wheeler.
Let's go.
Dope artist. Great. I'm out here, man.
Welcome back to the hood. Welcome back to Chill on the Green Box with Specks, Thompson, and The View. And like always, my co-host is never here. This time, all I have to do is mention Vampirella, and he got spooked. Apparently, he has a thing about vampires. I never knew about that, but hey, he's not here once again. But thanks, Mindy, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So for people who don't know who you are, go ahead and introduce yourself so everybody get a good feel who you are real quick.
Well, I'm Mindy Wheeler. I've been working in comics for about 9 years, off and on, and this is my first book I'm launching right now on Kickstarter. It's called Boobs, and it's been a really fun experience so far. So this is my first creator-owned book after being a colorist and sort of penciler in the industry, and now I'm here with the big shebang, the book Boobs. So we'll see how it does.
Okay. We get to your books later, but here on Chill on the Green Box, we like to talk to the creators. So people who listen to the show or watch the show will learn more about you as a person, to feel more like inclined to like support any work you do or anything like that. Versus just you talking about your book the whole time. They're like, well, that was a cool book, but who's the artist? Who's the writer? So that's the point of my show, so people get a good feel who you are and feel a part of something.
That's cool.
This show's broken in 4 segments, all based around music and comic books and whatever, but really it's based around the green box. I'm not sure you're familiar with the green electrical boxes that used to be in front of the neighborhoods. All right, well, as I interview people, it seems the thing is a regional thing. So look like more southern states, it was green electrical boxes that sit in front of the houses or neighborhoods. And when I was younger, we used to sit on there and chill, talk, break stuff down, and sometimes it was an actual bus stop we'd be at too. So I mean, the entire trended over that we sat there before school, then on the weekends or afternoons we'd be in the same spot because it's familiar.
Okay. I think I know those big electric. I know what you're talking about. I grew up in Arizona. And
okay.
There's a bit of that, but it was also really hot, so I can't say I
you
spent much of my
time. You didn't want to touch those. Yeah. But the first segment, like I said, when you're in the green box, you'll break stuff down. So typically you'll break stuff down like concepts, ideas with your friends. But this segment, you're gonna break your brain down so people get a better idea of who you are. So are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. That sounds fun.
All right. So my first question: what do you love about your birthday?
My birthday? Well, it's in March. So I've always read about astrology and astronomy. I like that stuff. I remember being like 10 years old and walking down to a little library and looking at all the moon charts and stuff. So I really like my sign. I'm a Pisces. And that's the sign of the fish. It's the salmon tied together, but they're fighting basically. One's going downstream with the flow, and the other one has to fight all the way to get to where it's originally from.
So you was talking about it's two salmon that fight, and one's going upstream and one's going against the stream.
Yeah. That's the salmon. It's the sign of the Pisces. So, and that's been so true for my whole life. Like, it's either I go with the flow and do everything just the same way everybody else does, or I have to fight. And if I do and kind of go against the current and just keep on going, eventually I'll get upstream to where the salmon lays its eggs, like it's supposed to do. And then the rewards will come. So, I mean, that's been true like so many times in my life. So that's what I like best about my birthday. I think that's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
Okay. And that's cool that you said that, because later on I got another question that would I can tie that into that. But okay, that's cool though. That's cool. Well, funny, these are random questions, so it's a good tangent though. But what makes you feel old when you think about it?
Oh, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I love the Super Nintendo when I was a kid. And now it's like the kids these day and age, they don't even know what a cassette is, a cassette tape, you know? Do you remember those?
I was saying to my coworkers, they had no idea what I was talking about. I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. Was it a Zoom player? Something I was saying something, they had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, really? It hadn't been that long ago, but it's been more than 10, 12 years ago, so at that time they probably still in like elementary school, so
when you were talking about the green box, at first I thought you were talking about a boom box. You know, the boom boxes they were long, like this long, and you hold them on your shoulder. Those are fun. And Pokemon cards when they just came out. Yeah, that's
they're still popular now.
They are. I know. I wish I would have kept my collection. I had a collection. I had like some holofoil Charizards.
Yeah,
but I missed out.
You probably if you had them still, you probably could pay your mortgage.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Those were good times.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Next question. What musical instrument would you be if you could play in a band?
Oh, I used to play the piano when I was a kid. So that's the one I like.
So you carry around a big old piano in the band?
That's the thing with pianos, that it's a bummer. They're really hard to have in your house, you know, and they're expensive on top of it. So, I've had a keyboard off and on, but it's a shame because they're really fun to play. And then the most random instrument, if you want to go with random questions, was I used to work at the Renaissance Festival as like in costume and everything. And I bought this little pan flute. It's like a flute that forks off into two. I don't know how to play it, but I would just try anyways, you know.
Is it one of the ones like the Pied Piper would play? Like one of those?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, the pan flute.
Okay, yeah. That is a random instrument, yeah.
That is random.
Alright. Well, that's and I got my first segment, you know, just icebreaker questions, you know, to get it going and see things about you. Like I said, one of the things you answered helped me lead to another question later on. But but next segment is it's called the back issues. And in comics, you're in comics, so you know more about back issues before. But for people who don't know, it's for if you want to know about a character's origin story, you go back into their back issues to find out about the character. So if you want to learn more about, you know, Wonder Woman, you go into her back issues to find out about her origin story. So in this segment, we can go on your back issues to find out more about your origin story.
Oh boy. My personal origin story.
Yes, your personal.
Oh boy. Okay. Right. Shoot. What you got?
So my first question, where are you from and what do you call your hood?
Mesa, Arizona. Yep. And it's changed a lot since then. There's been millions of people that have moved to Arizona. I used to just live next to a cow farm. The cows were my hood.
And they're all gone now? Or they're still there?
They're gone. Yep. It's like all apartments now and totally different. So, yeah, just kind of open desert. I live kind of in the rural, open Arizona desert. It was beautiful.
Kind of like Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I like Breaking Bad. But I think prettier. New Mexico isn't as pretty as Arizona. Like, Arizona has the most beautiful lightning storms and sunsets. Photographers from all over used to travel to Arizona back when I was a kid just to take pictures of the lightning. because it was such open sky. They'd just be like electric, boom, 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 and they'd shoot off into like 20 different, whatever they're called. It was beautiful. So it's not really like that anymore. But that's my hood.
Yeah, I've been in Arizona once, and it was so hot there that even at night, felt like the sun was still out. It's so hot there. I'm like, man, it's crazy.
It gets a little much, and with all those people and all the concrete now that's there, the buildings, it holds the heat in, so it's like 20 degrees hotter now all the time. So I live in Chicago now, because the heat got to be too much.
A whole different tangent.
Yeah. At first I was like, no, that's the Arctic tundra. I can't live in Chicago. But actually it's not so bad. It's really beautiful here too, so.
Man, that's what's up. Next question. What was your first encounter with music that got you like loving it?
Music. This is embarrassing, but the Spice Girls.
The Spice Girls?
Yeah. Yes.
Dang.
So to get into my origins, I'm actually Canadian, and I'm the first generation of my family that was born in the States. Okay. So before me, my family was all in Canada, and then before that, Scotland, and then on my mother's side, Britain. So she wasn't even born in the States either. She was over in London. So I come from a sort of British background. It's a little different than like the traditional American kid. But yeah, Spice Girls were very popular. And in Canada too, as I grew up part there, part here. Very Spice Girls.
Well, okay. So you like the movie too?
Yeah, I saw the movie. I like the movie.
Okay.
All kinds of different music now. I wouldn't say pop is like, my favorite by any means now. I like tons of genres. Actually, probably rock is my favorite now. So that was just the first one I remember.
All right, what about comic books? What comic-related TV show or comic book that treat you like to get into comics or just read comics in general?
Definitely remember that one. That's Spawn.
Spawn? Okay.
Yep. McFarlane. That was the first one I picked up, and I still love McFarlane to this day. I really like his stuff. He's very, creative outside the box with his panels. Just awesome. So I love Spawn.
Yeah, I actually never read Spawn. I think I read. Now, one I remember is the recent one, Batman versus Spawn. That was like first time I ever comprehend what's going on in the Spawn comic. But I probably read one back in the day. But it's odd. I just never read Spawn. Like all the comic books, I never picked it up. It just, I don't know. To me, it was never a storyline. Like they promote everything else, like Infinite Crisis or Death in the Family. It was never a storyline that says, oh, this is going on in Spawn now, pick it up. Besides, issue 300 recently when they branched off with different kind of spawns, the one with the hat and the gun and all that stuff. That's the only time I know a storyline that was going on in Spawn. So I think that was the issue with me and Spawn. There was never a storyline that I need to start here, start reading Spawn.
Well, yeah, you're right. I know you're right. I could see that. I'm more of an art person. I'm kind of all over the place with the stories. Like I've read a patch here. But yeah, it's more of the art that really drew me in. I didn't get into really figuring out the stories till later. So yeah, I could see that. There's not the same epic kind of superhero thing going on with that. But it was just something about the art that I picked up that it was unconventional. Like you should pick up the old Image stuff. I really like the Witchblade stuff. I think is in there. It's just so different. Like it's because they broke off from Marvel, right? And then they kind of just went, I can do whatever I want. And you can see that in the pages. I admit I've only read the beginning issues of Spawn. And then I've missed so much, but it's just the first few pages, you can really tell they love what they're doing. And so that's really kind of stuck with me because I'm an art person. So, but I know what you're saying. You're right. It doesn't really, it's different.
Now, any kind of comic related TV show that got you too?
I love the first like 2 seasons of The Flash. That was very good. I love
Now
all
the recent one or the old one?
the I gotta say it's probably been the recent one because I didn't know there was an older one. But
Yeah, cause the older one was a cameo. He was Jay Garrett in the
oh,
recent one.
that's right.
He was the older Flash.
Oh, that's right. No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
But I'm partial to the old Superman movies, so if I'm
Okay.
gonna
Okay.
pick something really that I love, it'd be that.
Okay. Okay. Next question. When did you find out that you was a nerd?
That's a good question. So my parents didn't send me to like the traditional public school. I went to public school until about 6th grade. Yeah. And then there was a new charter school opening up that was really liberal arts focused. And my parents were very liberal. And they wanted me to be, that minded, that sort of mentality. And I also was very artistic. So they sent me to that school. And it was a very small school. And I went to that one and another charter school for the rest of my high school experience. And it was all nerds there. Like everybody was a nerd. And yeah, so I guess I fit in, sort of, sort of did. But the comics were pretty big there, actually. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, there were a lot of people into comics and a lot of manga people. And there was a comic shop or two that were really close by. So that's where I picked up Spawn. I was about 13, and my friend took me to I think it was a Sailor Moon event at Atomic Comics in Mesa, Arizona. And then that's kind of when I first picked him up.
Oh, cool. Well, that's in it. Your back issues, your origin stories. We got found. Where you from and your lineage. Your music taste and some comic books. Speaking of comic books, now we're gonna go into your hotkeys, which is
Mhm.
a double meaning term. For this show. In comics, they're the key issues. That when a
Yep.
new writer get on a comic or a new artist or an event or a character being premiered or nowadays, when it's becoming a movie or a TV show.
Mhm. Yep.
As where in music, there's buttons on a DJ's turntable that he'll press to make a certain song come on or a certain moment or soundbite to get the crowd jumping, during the club or party.
Cool.
So this segment is built around questions or topics that I came up with or you sent me that you really want to talk about, so people will take that with them, get them hype about the interview or whatever you got going on. So that's what we about to get into with this segment.
Very clever.
Thank you. I try a little bit. I picked this up from your I don't know, it's from the Kickstarter or your Facebook. I'm not sure, but how do you feel about your freedom doing this project you're doing now versus being in the I guess the pros? I, s- I believe it was a post. I can't believe, but you said that he had so much freedom doing this book versus the other books. Now, why was that? Why do you feel that way?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's huge. That's a huge hop key. For sure. Because the realm of comics was really weird getting into. Like there's not really a good structure to climb. Um I think it's like around 2016ish, publishers also started changing their model to where they wouldn't like if they hired you, they didn't think it was their job to push you and promote you. They wanted you to bring them the following. So it was like, we'll hire you if you're internet famous, basically. Was
Yeah,
kind of, yeah.
I see that. So I've been in comics since 2019. Milestone did a thing. Milestone Comics did a thing for creators beyond,
Mm.
and you had to submit and stuff like that. Some of the creators I don't know, but I know one guy, he is popular and he's on there. Good writer, but he's popular. But that being said, I know there's two other authors that are both from DC now. They both from DC and Marvel, but one of them, she was just popular from taking like the superheroes and making them like living single, like a sitcom setting, and she was popular because of that. And DC picked her from that and gave her her own issues. Now she's doing all kind of stuff with DC. And another guy, he just was popular with one book that like got real big. But I watched them. I'm like, man, these books are good because they're good writers. But DC don't push their books. I was like, man, that's crazy. You know, this book is good. She wrote Nubia. You know, it's a good book,
Oh
but
yeah.
it was no push.
Mm.
With his book, it was Black Manta. He did that book, and he also did Aquaman.
Mm.
It was not Aquaman, it was Aquaman. And they didn't push those books. It was crazy. It like the books were so popular. It made me TikTok famous. Like DC had put Nubia on a candy bar, on a Hershey candy bar. They had a whole bunch of heroes on there, and I just made a point saying, "Hey, look at the candy bar." Somebody made a comment about it on my video on TikTok, and then I did another video explaining who she was, and that video probably has almost 500,000, probably over 500,000 views on it right now.
Wow.
And I was like, man, that's crazy. Like people are so interested, they want to know more and more and more. I had to make like a part 2, 3, and maybe a 4, just going off that video explaining the character.
Mm.
And I was like, man, people are so interested in this character. Why not push it? But DC just don't push the books. Like no title I done seen. And if they are pushing something, it kills the book. Like the Jonathan Kent thing and the Tim Drake thing. Those killed them books saying they're gay and or bisexual. It just killed the book.
Yeah.
Which it was good stories, but that one thing that's probably like 2 panels destroyed it the whole time. So like, I definitely see you come from a popularity thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see I don't see a lot of that stuff. Like, it's been good books that I don't read, but no promo behind it. Marvel's a little bit better at it, but like Boom, Image, all the even Dark Horse, I barely see anything from Dark Horse.
Yeah, it's like they just kind of like, I don't know what it is. Maybe lazy, maybe it's a financial thing. I have no idea. But it was very confusing. And I even went to like events where books would be released, like an Image launch. And I went up to one of the authors and I was all, hey, how do you find artists? You know, like I tried so hard to like break in and like show my portfolio to everybody. And I got the strangest answers from everybody. And that one dude said, oh, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? You got a book out. Like, how'd you find him? How'd you find that artist? And there's just no structure. He was like, oh, I just knew him. He was a buddy of mine. I have no idea how I'd go find an artist for another book. And it's so confusing. And a lot of the hires are based on like, they're just each other's friends. And like, if you're not part of that group too, then you just don't get jobs. Or they'll say, one publisher straight up told me, I said, how do I get hired by you on a book? How do I get a job? And he said, go off and do your own book and release it entirely for free online. And if it goes viral, we'll hire you. I was like,
wow.
I was like, but that defeats the purpose of me getting a job and then working. And then as a publisher, like, yeah, I even had a couple problems with the publishers I did work with. One in particular that they were very like sensitive and I don't even know how to describe them. They weren't very professional. And they were very picky about everything but the book. Like every little thing, like what you said, what you did, maybe like even what you wore. And the last thing on their mind was the book. In fact, so much so that they didn't even write the script on the last book I worked for them for. They gave it to us like 2 weeks before the Diamond deadline and said, just make stuff up.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's really stressful for an artist because I'm not supposed to be the one writing the book. So it was just very weird. And I just never understood it. Like, as a publisher, you're supposed to be the one promoting the books. So I don't understand what's going on here. So yeah,
it sounds just like the music industry. You know, they give record deals to people who are already popular on, you know, TikTok or SoundCloud or whatever. It sounds just like the same thing.
Yeah, it does. Yep. It's exactly the same thing you saw too. It's like, why isn't there more promotion or like just standing behind your creators? So the publishers don't really get behind you. It's like they don't care about you. You know, so on that note where you said it's so much more freedom, it is to just do your own book. And a lot of these big creators, they're breaking off from publishers and doing their own books because it's just easier for them. It's better. And they don't have to worry about the publishers like that anymore. Why would you if they don't care about you?
Now, okay, why is this book like your first time making your own book versus previously? Why do you want to be like under a publisher first besides doing it yourself?
Well, I thought that's how it worked. Like, in a world that made sense, you know, it's like go get a job and then you work and you earn your name. But it just, you know, found out it didn't work like that. So the reason I haven't yet come out with my own book is just because I wasn't ready yet. And doing the whole book is a lot of work. I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult drawing and writing comics can be. It's just so many hours of labor. So I had to get to that point. I had to get faster at drawing. And then I had to condense my process too. Like, instead of penciling and then inking and flatting and coloring all separately, I just do it now digitally, and it's a lot faster. So it took me many years to get to that point where I'm comfortable with releasing my own books. And I remember an interview with Jim Lee many years ago, and he said the same thing. It took him about 10 years before he felt like he was comfortable with his work. So it's been about 9 for me. So I'm kind of
Okay.
the same.
All right. Oh, well, I'm gonna get into the project you're working on now, and so you can tell the viewers or listeners about it. Here it is right here. You know, your issue 1. You got funding in 30 minutes. You got almost 500 backers on this project. What made you do this project besides the freedom, but what made you pick this project in general, I guess?
It was I just love to laugh. So does my husband. Especially with all the confusing drama in comics. Like, we really wanted to have a lot of fun. So he thought of this title, which is ridiculous, but it's awesome. It's called Boobs. And we were just laughing, thinking about the story. And then that was about 2.5 years ago. So he left for work, and then I got kind of like stuck with this project of, do I finish this? How do I do it? And then I ended up doing it all the rest myself and expanding on his writing. He wrote the initial script, and then I took it and added to it. So I'm actually really glad it worked out that way, because I think this book is a lot of fun, and it's just to have a good time. It's like it was fun to creatively take the most ridiculous concepts and play with it in every way and make it the most fun I could. It's just about having a good time, honestly, and just enjoying comic books. And this great story came out of it. So yeah, I'm having a blast.
Is it a joke comic? Is it a comedy comic?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a comedy. Yeah, it's a comedy. It's a parody, satire. It's got a lot of humor. And then there's about a 8-issue story arc that I will complete. And then we'll see if I want to go beyond that as an ongoing series or not. But this is just issue 1. It's the beginning. It's where the characters meet and the fun begins.
Okay. Now, I wasn't looking, but you're a writer and artist.
Yeah, with this book, yeah. I've been writing
Okay.
a more serious book for a long time, but I don't know. The world gets kind of depressing at times, so I actually kind of changed streams, and I have a much more serious book I've been writing for like 10 years now, but I'm not planning on releasing that soon. I just want to have fun, and I'm really enjoying doing very lighthearted, like upbeat, just fun things. So that's my bread and butter right now.
Okay. Now, how did it feel being the writer on a project versus the artist?
You get much more involved, and I I like having the freedom. Here's another aspect of freedom with your own creation is that when I'm drawing the pages, I'll think of more things to write. You know,
Mm.
like I'll think, oh, this next panel it would be really cool if this happened, and then all of a sudden more of the story like pops in my head. So it's definitely a creative process, and you wouldn't get that working with other people. You know, you get kind of you're working for someone else's script or for someone else's vision. So it's cool to be able to just do whatever I want. Yeah, it's a blast.
Besides, when the publisher said just make up something, have you ever been involved with the writing or the script in any books you've been part of, or this is the first time you like actually got into the writing part of it?
Yeah, this is the first time.
Okay, okay.
I
That's
wouldn't want
cool.
to write anybody else's book. I wasn't prepared for that. I
Oh,
wasn't I wasn't paid enough to do that, you know? Like you
yeah.
hired me for one job. Now I got to do this other job. Wait, no.
Mhm. Would you write somebody else's book now, since you did this book?
Not yet. I'm here. I'm happy to give suggestions. Like if somebody picks up the book and they like the writing, maybe yeah, I'm happy to talk about that process. But as far as writing someone else's book right now, no. I really want to just do my own stuff for a while and see where it takes me, and then maybe later. But this is such a creative process, and it's very. Um, I have no time to do anything else, you know.
No.
So
Mhm.
I'll wait for a while before I do anything like that.
Now, are you still doing pro work or not anymore?
I haven't. No, I'm not really interested.
Mhm.
Time is difficult to fit any other projects in, so probably not. I don't even know if I'd work on like Batman if they ever asked, because it's and I love Batman, but the pay isn't there really either. I think that was a problem. Like 2000, I want to say 16, they started dropping all the rates. So I've heard at the
Mhm.
big two. And then they outsourced a lot of work too. So I don't even know if it's really worth it anymore. Like you said, they don't publish or they don't push anybody.
Yeah.
So is it really worth it to just like be a slave to the page rate and that's all I'd have time for? I'd have to give all this up that I'm doing now. You know, is it really worth it? I don't
Yeah.
really think so.
A quote that I found when I started getting into comics, like my character View, like he could have been thrown into DC universe or the Marvel universe, depending like how I wanted like it to flow. But I seen a quote that got me to want to go independent and make my own story. It said, "Don't try to write for Batman because there's already a writer and a creator writing Batman. So write the next Batman instead,
Mhm.
because write something new because um the guy who did the quote, he said he wrote something for Batman and sent it to DC or gave it to an editor at a con or something like that. And they brushed him off, was like, no, it ain't good, it never worked. And he said like a couple months later, that same story he sent them, they used it and changed up a little bit and ran off with it.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yep. So
Wow.
after that, he decided to make his own book. And I got to find a quote. I don't know what book he made after that, but he decided to make his own book because he knew his work was good enough for them to steal. So
Yeah.
his work is good enough to be his own book. So yeah. So
Wow,
that made
that's
me go in.
really low.
Yeah. And that was like 2018, 19. I read that, and ever since then I cannot find a quote. So I don't know if it was God that gave me that quote or whatever to go off of and do my own stuff independently or what, but I cannot find the internet for nothing. But it was like a whole article about it. I was like, man, that's crazy. And that's why I went the route I did. And just doing it, it was good. My first book I did Indiegogo, and my book was funded a little bit overfunded. So my first book I didn't come out of pocket for. The second one, it failed, but I bounced back. But I mean, it was easy. Now I'm starting to do cons and stuff like that. But it was just like, if I try to do the DC route, I had to do it all myself, and hopefully they'll put it out. Then if they do pick it up, there's no telling when they're gonna publish it either. So like they say, yeah, we got the story, we're gonna do it for you, but it could be 8 months down the road before they release it. Then after that, I'm still waiting on pay for them books. All I have is comp issues that I can sell like cons. But other than that, I'm waiting on pay. So that's almost a year worth of not being paid for a book. So
yeah, exactly. Like, and how are you? That was like my biggest complaint is exactly just like that. Like, how are you supposed to make a living when they treat you like that? It's like impossible. And yeah, there was a publisher that took a year and a half to pay me for 2 pieces. And I was like, this is not sustainable. How are people supposed to do this? There was a friend of ours back in the day that I don't want to talk to anymore, but he was telling us about DC's contracts and his opinion of how they worked. And basically, it kind of goes like, from what I understand, as soon as you sign it, like everything that comes out of your pencil doesn't belong to you, it belongs to them. And that's just, it's kind of like, it's just crappy. Like, why would you, you're trying to do that. The only reason you do that is to get the name.
Yeah.
But if they're not pushing you and they're not paying you, then how are you supposed to get the name? You're just going to fizzle out. It's kind of like they're just burning people out over and over again and just finding a replacement and then burning them out. Yeah. Harley Quinn, they had like 3 different artists on at one time because they were doing it twice a month. They were releasing Harley Quinn a few years ago. I don't know if they do it now still, but it was so hard on the artists, and it's just like I don't think they really care about that money.
I have 2 questions from that, but first one, I interviewed Zach Howard, the guy who does Hellboy, and he said he just he's making money from the comics, but he said he has to do so much, like so like this week he probably working on 3 or 4 books at one time, just for that. But Indy, I think his Kickstarter, I didn't never ask him. I'm not sure that his first indie project he did himself like you did, but he was saying the same thing, how fun it was. He said he didn't have the joy of doing comics anymore. It was just like, whatever, I'm gonna draw this, whatever. But he said when he did that book, it was so fun, and it just gave him so much joy doing it. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And I hear the same thing from you. You just, so it is wild. And you were saying the hardships about artists. So who has it harder, I guess, the manga artists or the American artists? Because you saying 2 weeks, putting the book out in 2 weeks, or issue in 2 weeks is hard on American artists. Well, I think manga's every week.
Yeah.
So like, there are 2 different styles, but how hard is it really? Like, what's the skill comparison? Like, of hardship?
Yeah, I think it's a big difference. Yeah, the anime, you gotta think that their faces are all pretty much the same. Like, you could pick up each anime, and they have their own set of very particular like style. The angry eyes and the happy eyes, and you can boil this down to their chibi art, the little like baby characters that they do. Like the adults have very similar facial features. It's a very similar style for every single book, and it's black and white. And on top of it, they're very good at, I've noticed, like taking brushes with just patterns on it, and that's how they shade. So it makes me want to do manga because you can put it out so much faster. And that's a really big thing. If you want readers, you got to be able to put out books like quickly, and keep their interest. The American style is so much harder. I'm not surprised that manga is so popular now because it takes so much longer. And even the book I'm doing now, it's taken me a while, and it's so much work that the next book that I want to do, I want to do just black and white, because black and white is a lot faster. It really is. You can even shade in black and white. It doesn't have to be just black and white. It can be black and white with a bunch of grays. Just as long as you're not doing color. As soon as you add color, you're adding 7 different headaches, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Now you got to deal with all of that. And it takes at least 7 times the amount of time, probably.
Dang.
Yeah, it sucks.
Now, what do you say your art style is? Because Vampirella, Grim Tales, and your book now, Boobs, it's all kind of the same genre, I would say. So, what is your art style? You'll say it is.
That's a cool question, because if we're going to talk about industry, I guess I go back and say it was really difficult to find what that was, and nobody could tell me what it was. Either. I remember, like, for years I'd go around and I'd be like, what's the art style? What's my art style? Like, I figured out that the answer to that question is just, it's just, your style comes from what you've memorized in your head that you can draw well. And it's like those certain shapes. And then you just build from there. Your style looks like which shapes you've memorized. And on top of that, what medium you use. And I like to use unfortunately, lots of colors. So I pretty much like to paint. I'm kind of like a painter instead of a inker.
Okay.
So I will do my style looks a little bit more realistic, and colorful, very colorful. So people have told me my style looks a little bit like the 50s pinup picture.
Yeah, I got that vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I like drawing really happy people, and lots of facial expressions. So, and unfortunately, I wish I could draw manga and be happy, but that's just not how my brain works.
You couldn't. I mean, you couldn't do it, or I mean, would you have it dumbed down your style? Like, what's stopping you?
I've done it. Like, I can draw it. I could pull up old sketchbooks when I was like 13, and all my friends in high school, they were all into the manga, so I've drawn it, but it just doesn't like satisfy me the way that the other art does. It seems, I just like more depth of the facial expressions, and I don't know, you always get that with manga. If I could just sorry.
Now, would you like? You say depth, like Berserker. No, he's very detailed.
Oh, yeah.
So would that be more like art style you go to, like towards that versus I don't know, Pokemon or like My Hero art style is very like just dark, heavy lines, and that's it.
Yeah, for sure. I like actually working on toned paper. Toned paper is like this brown, as opposed to white paper, because it just adds another layer of depth. So yeah, all that stuff. Like there's that one serious book that I've been working on for a long, long time. I see the pictures in my head of what I want the pages to look like, and it'll change. The medium will change. Like there's one scene where she's in the water, and for those like 3 pages, I want to do this really elaborate watercolor kind of cool spread. So it's just that's the cool thing with not having a publisher, is because a publisher would tell me not to do that. And a publisher wouldn't really care. It's all about deadlines. So doing what you want to do independently like allows me to do that. If I want to make a watercolor spread in a book that's not watercolor, then I can do that, So I just like art. I like exploring. Manga is a little boring for me, I guess. It's too constricting into that one style.
Oh, okay. Couple more questions in this segment. I lost my train of thought. Oh, what project you done, pro work that you actually enjoyed doing, or not enjoy, or at least like doing, like that was a good project, at least.
I think if I'm gonna look back, besides the Vampirella, I did like working on that cover. That was probably my favorite piece that I've done in the industry. Then the other favorite piece is usually I have it hanging around. It's the Grimm Fairy Tales. I did a pinup of the Queen of Hearts, and they gave me a bit of freedom with that. They just said, like draw it cool or whatever, a headshot. And so I put a lot of detail into like the costume and just kind of played with it and had fun. So those two stick out for me. Yeah.
Okay. You ever thought about doing animation work? Not storyboards, I guess, like that.
I have a little bit. I used to work in marketing, and then the robots took my job. It's happened to me twice. Where robots have put me out of work. But I got into marketing, and I would make newspaper ads and flash banners, in the days of the early internet. So I've played around with animation, and I've animated things since then, like drawn. I really like the old Disney stuff, the 2-dimensional, and they do that with manga too, with animes. I think that's really cool. I could go that route if I'm gonna do that style of work. I could do that in an animation, like a cartoon series. That would be tight. I would do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be fun. So eventually, yeah, I totally do want to animate. It's hard work though. Animation is very hard work.
Yeah, I tried it for a day and I gave up.
It'll do that to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Just it was too much repetition. Keep drawing the same image. A little bit here, a little bit here. It was too much.
Yeah.
Well, that's in the hotkeys. That was good. People got a lot more in depth. What you did and how you feel about certain things and whatnot. Maybe they could take some of your advice or what you said about things and go their own route. Now we can go to digging in the crates, which is my last segment. Another two-parter. Comics. You'll dig in the crates. Probably try to find that Spawn issue you enjoyed back in the day, or a Batman or two. Also music the same way. You would dig through the crates and find the CDs or vinyls that you enjoy. So this segment just one question, so people can take away something from the interview. Just something, maybe a Nobel Prize type question or something like that. They'll ask you. But my question to you is, if you can go back to, I guess, any decade and be a artist on, I guess working in the industry, what decade would you pick? Got a golden age, silver age, what decade?
Oh my gosh. I would probably still be in the modern age, because I don't think I could. My style is very different than the early ages of comics. Although I have to give credit to like Jack Kirby and just how animated his pages are. But they were so limited in the early days with only like the newspaper ink and how they created that. And I think that would drive me crazy. I think I'd want to do more than that because I like to be more like a painter. So it would still be in the modern age, but it would probably be at least 20 years back.
Okay.
Like maybe the 2000s. There was a lot of cool art kind of coming around that time. But yeah, that's probably when.
I interviewed another creator. I don't know who said it, but they had the same kind of answer you just gave me about something else. But they said in Europe, the art was more of that level. Like with the heavy metal magazines and stuff like that, it was more detailed and crazy with the colors and stuff. that
Yeah.
he said he would draw more to those comics and what's going on over there versus stuff over here.
That's a good answer. Yeah, they have more
Yeah.
of a fine art style there, for
Mhm.
sure. The Vampirella hit popular with a few European people over there that I still talk to since
Wow.
that cover. Yeah, it's much more of a fine art thing. That's a good answer, but I don't know enough about their comics to know
Yeah,
when.
I don't either. All I know is what Doctor Who and Sherlock Holmes. That's all I know.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's the end of my show. You know,
Cool.
it was a good show. You know, it was enlightening. Some things I haven't heard yet. You know, all my interviews. You know, but for people who listen to this after your Kickstarter is over, whatnot, how can they purchase this book or purchase anything you do or just keep up with you in general?
Social media, I'm all over there. Just Mindy Wheeler Art. Twitter sometimes hides my artwork. Even though I don't show things real, not that bad, it's figured out that the word boobs is maybe potentially sensitive, so they hide a lot of my posts. So I like Instagram because it's just visual, art, and that's kind of what I'm all about. So I do have Facebook too, but Instagram's my favorite. And as far as purchasing the book, what do you think? I'm asking around because I don't know where people buy books after their campaigns, but I want to put it up. What do you
I say
think?
just make your own website. That's what I did. When I did my first campaign, I did Indiegogo, and I chose that because you get the money no matter what.
Yeah.
And also, after it funds, it creates like a little mini store for your project as well.
Oh, that's right. That's cool.
But besides that, just make your own website. So you need one anyway. You're gonna be a creator, so you just fun and you make your own website. Then you keep all the money. You don't have to do a split with Amazon or Barnes and Noble or any other spot. You may not get as much traffic to your own website, but you're not competing with whoever else on that website either. It's your website. Drop everybody there. You can put your original artwork on there, your new projects, and other stuff so people who are fans with you do. Some people do Patreon, but I say just go with your website, your own website, so you can just drive everybody to one central point.
That's a good idea. I'll take you up on that. Yeah, I don't like Amazon either. I think Amazon's been hard on creators too. So I've heard some bad stories from them. So,
but I heard you at least have to put like at least one book or two on Amazon for some kind of thing. I listened to a podcast about it. He said you at least gotta put it on Amazon, I guess, so people take you serious or something like that. It's just like a visual thing. Just like if you're like a music artist, they be like, "Are you on iTunes?" It's the same thing with a writer or artist. Are you on Amazon? It's like one of them things.
Okay. Well, I'll think about it. Well, that's awesome. You did your book, and are you going to do another Indiegogo campaign then? Did you like Indiegogo?
I might do it for a different type of book. I won't do it for my Legacy to View. I got another book that might be more towards that crowd because I see the two crowds are different. So I might do it again for that crowd. But I don't like the what's it called, the crowdfunded format anyway. It just seemed like another job for 30 days doing that.
It is.
But it seemed like that's the thing to do in the comics, so I'm gonna have to do it anyway.
Yeah, well, it's worth it in the end. It takes time, but I think that if you just keep at it, put the books out there and they'll come, kind of thing. That's what the publishers are lacking. They're not really, I think, holding their weight very much. So that gives us opportunity as indie people to, make way for ourselves. So now is the time, I'd say, for sure.
That's right. Right. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I enjoyed it, and
me too.
Appreciate everything. Sorry the view wasn't here.
That's cool. I appreciate it too. It was good talking with you.
All right, you too.
So yeah, that's the show. Thanks for watching, man. Thanks to our guest, Mindy Wheeler, for coming on. Really great person, really great artist. Glad she's taking a step and doing her own project And y'all make sure y'all check out that project, Boobs. And that's coming out now. Make sure y'all follow her so y'all can get next issue when she drop it, because it looks like it's going to be a dope series. And if you want to check out my co-host series, you know, even though he never can do a full interview, go to legacyview.com to get the books. And if you want to follow him on his journey and everything, Legacy View on all social media. And if you want to follow me at Specks706. And if you want to be on the show, hit us up at chillonthegreenbox@gmail.com or contact us on social media at chillonthegreenbox. Out of here.